Hello, everybody.
All right.
How's it going?
Yeah, man.
Steve, you look different.
A little bit. I've had a shave, so that's why I might look a bit different.
The better
And I've
looking
decided
version.
that Southerners are Nancy's, so I've gone Northern.
Fair enough. Yeah, the better looking version upgrade. Stephen 2.0. Yeah. So as you can see, Kris is in the screen with me. Steve is currently absent. He's got lots going on. He might join a little bit later. Mike will be in the chat at some point. So when Mike Thumb joins the chat, say hello, everybody. And yeah, we're going to get the ball rolling in a minute. So, Kris, you haven't been on for a while, have you?
I was on just before I went on order.
Yeah, but that's been like nearly a month.
3 weeks. 3 weeks. Yeah, I suppose. I'm trying to think what the last one we did was.
It was about.
It was about the rebirth and stuff like that. It was about the new title and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got lots to look forward to coming up. Obviously, if you haven't checked out those podcasts, please check them out. They're all in the last sort of live streams that we've done, and we broke them down into chapters as well, so it makes it easier to pick and choose which bits you enjoy most or what we were talking about. I've also got individual videos as well, so you can find those as well with different thumbnails and titles. So today is all about the certification of this new film. It hasn't actually been said yet, has it?
No,
as far as I'm aware.
Not officially, I don't think. It's just rumours at the minute, I think.
So we've got some people in the chat. Voice right now. Derek, welcome. You are first. Hello there. We've got 848. Hello. And we've got Mike. He's in. Hello, Mike.
There he is. Hi, Mike.
He's in. Hello. Yeah. So what I would like everyone to do is put their rating into the chat, what they would like a Jurassic movie to be, and why, basically. And that'll be a good one to we'll go back. I'll style them and we'll talk about. So everyone that's in the chat right now, and before we start talking and discussing the photos that I'm about to put up, I'll start them and we'll come back to them at the end before, and we'll talk about what people's thoughts are on their ratings. So what I was going to say to start with is I was going to talk about some other sort of franchise movies that have come out, I guess, in our lifetimes, some over 20 years old, some more modern and closer. So
some a bit older my age.
Yeah, a little bit more closer to your age. So the first one I actually want to talk about is, I'll tell you what, let's just start with the original trilogy, really.
Mm-hmm.
Back in 93 up to 2001. That was rated a PG. Now, in the UK, a PG is a different rating, I think, to what it was in America. I'm not sure what the states were. But
yeah, because that's parental guidance, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I don't know what the difference is between a PG. Is PG and PG-13 different things?
I think there was once upon a time. I don't even know if PG-13 even exists anymore.
No, it does. It does exist. It's what the US use. I think PG and PG-13.
Yeah, so PG, basically, when you Google it, it's just parental guidance for children under 13.
Under 13, okay.
Yeah.
So PG-13 is maybe a 12A, 12.
Yeah, I'd probably say yeah.
Maybe that. See, the original trilogy was all PG, and when you think about it, like what actually happens in those films, I'm surprised it didn't get a higher age rating.
So it actually says here, for abbreviation parental guidance is slightly sexual or violent parts parents might not consider suitable for children, and recommend not for children under 7.
Oh, okay.
I think that's just a recommendation. I don't think it's kind of a.
Yeah, so there's something theming in it.
Yeah.
Mike says PG was a brand. Is a brand. It is a brand of tea.
Probably-
Is a brand of tea.
Tetley, I quite like a bit of Tetley, but going off subject. No, like I always thought PG was quite a fair rating for the original. It probably actually could have gone a bit lower than that, I think.
Do you really? What, even with Arnold's arm?
I would say that's probably the most graphic thing in it. Is probably Arnold's.
Yeah.
So yeah, PG is probably a fair rating for it, but it probably could have got away with going a bit.
I think the reason it must have got a PG, I reckon that the reason it didn't get the lower rating was because Malcolm's swear word with the Triceratops droppings.
Yeah,
and doesn't Ellie shout when the T-Rex is chasing them in the Jeep?
Yeah, she does. Yeah.
So I have a feeling it's to do. I have a feeling it's to do with the language.
Samuel L. Jackson doesn't drop an F-bomb in it, does he?
No,
I don't think he did.
No, he doesn't. No.
So yeah, according to this, there is UG, which is appropriate for all ages. PG, PG-13. No, neither do I. I think these are American because then it's got R for restricted.
Oh, okay.
And
see, they jump straight from PG-13 to restricted.
As far as I can see, yeah. Film ratings in the UK. So you got PG, 12A, and then you've just got one that says suitable. 12A is suitable for 12 years and older, accompanied by an adult, or suitable for 15 years and over, where they don't need an adult. And then you've got 18.
This Jurassic Horror 2003 says, hi, the 6 movies are PG-13. Says, I assume you're American. Sorry. Now, that I think is the equivalent of a 12A in the UK.
Yeah, that's from what I can see. It looks like because 12A is suitable for 12 and older, accompanied by an adult.
So,
but then if that's PG
now. I know for a fact that the Jurassic Park trilogy box set is a PG over here.
Mm-hmm.
But if you buy all 6 movies as a what do you call it? What do you call a 6-movie film series, like a saga, whatever you call it, right?
It'd be a saga, yeah.
Yeah. I do believe it is a 12 because they have to go by the rating of
the highest rating, yeah.
The highest rating. So look at this. This is Alien. This is a 6-film collection, and I know they are all probably 18s anyway, which is an R-rated in America, I think. They have to go with the highest rating, don't they?
Yeah, well, it says there the Jurassic Park trilogy is rated PG-13 in the US.
In the US, see, that's a 12 over here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I remember seeing it when I was, well, you would have been a bit older than me, but I was 6 when this came out, and Hexology, and it did feel terrifying for me.
So I think I think I would have been 9.
I do think 12 would have been a sensible rating at the time. However, this was the first of its. I guess it's meant to be a family adventure movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a fair rating for it. I think if you take that Muldoon section out of it, and maybe a couple of the S swear words and stuff like that, I think you get away with a lower rating. But I just think with those in, PG is actually probably pretty fair for it.
So moving on. So back in Godzilla 98. That is one of my favourite films of the 90s.
I agree, and I know it gets a lot of hate, but I actually really like Godzilla.
You know what I think this film gets hate is because of the redesign, and it is not a stereotype Godzilla sort of.
No, but I kind of like that it breaks away from
man in a suit. See, for me, when I see the Godzilla shaped how the most current Godzillas are, and like the ones from the past, it just screams Power Rangers to me. When they go into the Zords and they're fighting with the mini set with the streets below them and stuff. It reminds me of that, and it's quite comical, but even though it's all CGI now.
Do you know what? I think
like
it would have annoyed me more in this film, Godzilla, if they wouldn't have explained how it became Godzilla. But because they did, and it was like iguanas and stuff like that, you can see that in it. So
Yeah.
for me, that always kind of explained it away why it's different to the previous. Because I remember the original, like Shin Godzillas and stuff like that, what I watched when I was a kid, and like they were good. But this was my first proper introduction, I would say, into like a proper movie Godzilla.
Mike has got a good point there. They grounded it too much in reality, like that would be Godzilla if it was real.
Yeah,
it moved like a real animal, and it felt very organic, didn't it? And I think that's probably why I liked it so much. And it was very close to like a Jurassic feel. It felt like a sequel to the Lost World San Diego scene.
I love the sound that it made as well. That like screech, such a good sound.
Yeah, it was cool, and the whole scene in the Madison Square Garden was pretty cool as well.
Plus, I was in love with like the blonde girl in it for years. Can't remember her name.
Because of like, I think it might have just been the 90s, really. Like,
yeah.
Although I feel like this movie, when you compare that to the theming from Jurassic Park, this is a more light-hearted film.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because this is more like military based, isn't it?
Like, do you actually see anyone getting like as bad as what Muldoon is? I don't think you do.
Like in a car.
Yeah.
You might see a few people getting taken out by the little babies inside Madison Square Garden a couple of times, but you don't, you know what I mean? You don't see any limbs, do you? You see a couple of people get trod on.
It's almost a fixed camera, and the baby Godzillas jump into the camera and down below it, kind of thing, so you don't really see it. But no, whenever my missus refers to this one, she goes, and I say, "Oh, am I watching Godzilla?" She goes, "Is that the Jamiroquai one?" Just because he did the sound, the soundtrack for it.
Oh, very nice. Right, so so Godzilla. The reason I put this in here is because obviously Godzilla is a franchise if you include the 2014 ones, but this was a 90s movie, so it kind of went with the same trend as like the Jurassic films, and it's probably why they probably had similar sort of tone, you know, a bit of militarization, a bit of the odd language here and there, but that was okay back in the 90s when there weren't any snowflakes. Yeah. And now you got, so let's skip past that one. Let's go to Godzilla 20. So the latest Godzilla and all of the other series, all the other ones, have all Kong, they've all been 12s. Over here in the UK anyway. I don't know what the rating system is like in America. That would be the equivalent of PG-13 in America. So I'd be interested to know from a couple of you guys in the chat, a Star Jurassic Holtz comment there, rating. So see, everyone started going on about Mike's talking about the vehicles with Godzilla and human kills off screen with the babies. Yeah, it's probably all that sort of stuff, isn't it? Godzilla 2014. This is the film that what's his face made. The director that we've got.
Oh yeah, Colin Trevorrow. No, not Colin Trevorrow.
I know.
Oh my God, why is it gone?
I know. I've got a complete mind blank as well.
Gareth Edwards.
Gareth Edwards, yeah, he did this one. So there's some. I need to rewatch this film because I'm not joking. I've seen it once since 2014, and it was a long time ago.
Oh no, I maybe watch it maybe once a year and go through the three of them.
I've probably seen this film twice only, and I think the last time I did watch it was because it was before the. Is it the King of the Monsters? Not King of the Monsters.
That's the second one, isn't it?
Yeah, it was that one. It was before that one.
Right.
Yeah.
Because then you've got Godzilla X Kong after that, haven't you? Yeah.
Yeah, and I couldn't get that one. Was as soon as we got into this alien bloody inside crystal weird bit.
I would have expected
it went a bit weird for me.
The Kong Skull Island. I would imagine that's got a higher rating than this.
I didn't look at Kong Skull.
I'm just thinking off the top of my head because like I would imagine, just because of the skull crawls and stuff like that, I think they were called. I think they was a bit more kind of.
Let's have a look what it came at. PG-13 to 12A.
Okay. So maybe a little bit more than that, but not much. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not really any different, is it?
No, I don't think the stuff's that bad in Godzilla. I think it's more, there might be a bit more swearing in it. 'Cause
Possibly.
I don't think the gore or anything like that is, from memory, is particularly bad in this film.
Yeah. No, I would say it's not really. It's more the dark fear factor, isn't it? The tense scenes but yeah, no. So here's some other franchises: Harry Potter 12, and I think that got given the 12 rating because of the films that came later. I know the original is You.
Yeah, I would say something from like
PG.
I would
PG
say I'd say probably Prisoner of Azkaban onwards probably went up to a 12.
Yeah.
Just because of like the werewolves and stuff like that, maybe.
Yeah.
Again, there's no swearing in it at all, as far as I remember in Harry Potter.
No, there isn't swearing in these films. But it's interesting because it seems to be theming, isn't it? Like, we can talk about what we would like and the pros and cons of having this rating compared to like an R-rated sort of Jurassic, but because we're all going to have our opinions. Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit 12.
That is purely on like fear factor of stuff like Shelob, the spider, and stuff like that, and the orcs.
But then you say that, but PG Chamber of Secrets had Aragog, giant spiders. I have a feeling there's more to do with the theming of stabbing and violence.
I think the violence is a big thing. Obviously, the big battles and stuff like that.
There's a scene where the orcs catapult a load of soldiers' heads into
that's
is it Isengard?
Empire Strikes Back. Then I never said Two Towers. Yeah.
So and also you got to think of the length of the movie. Like that's probably, how long is that? They're 3 hours each, aren't they? 18 hours.
Well, extended is about 4.
Between them two trilogies, it's like about 18 hours worth of footage.
I'll do that in a day, though. I will literally sit there and watch all 3 of them extended editions in a day.
I absolutely love these films. Well, more so than Lord of the Rings.
I know Jurassic will always be my favourite, but kind of the Lord of the Rings is pretty much secondary.
Full of a took. But now, this is my favourite trilogy. I think that you can't beat this trilogy.
Agree. I think cinematic value-wise, it's the best trilogy ever made.
Oh, 100. And as a story, I think it's just seamlessly flawless.
Yeah, when you compare that to something like Star Wars, while it was seamless, especially the original trilogy, I don't think even Star Wars, as much as I'm a fan of it, doesn't go as seamlessly as what this does.
Well, it doesn't, because it doesn't age. I don't feel like fantasy in this sort of genre ages.
No. Actually, I've been watching Rings of Power, and I saw a screenshot of the Balrog from Lord of the Rings and the Balrog from Rings of Power, and they was honestly almost identical. Really? And I know they probably downplayed the probably special effects in the newer one, but honestly, it was like unbelievable. Yeah,
I do think like they really, really do hold up, these films, and I think it's to do with, I think that's a 12 because of the violence. So I guess that's another reason why I guess the Jurassic World was a 12, because it's probably the most violent movie. It's definitely probably the most violent movie out of all of them. I think it is. When you think of how many deaths there are in that film and how much. Think of how violent that film is.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I think I remember us doing a video on how many deaths are in each film, but
Jurassic World is head and shoulders.
Yeah, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty violent film.
Because I don't remember there being too many deaths for the most part compared to Jurassic World in Fallen Kingdom.
No. So Jurassic World is a 12, which is a PG-13 as well.
Yeah.
12. I think we used to be called 12A. It's not anymore.
Yeah.
It's just a 12,
Just
isn't it?
12.
And that surprised me when that first came out because I was fully expecting a PG. And when it came out as a 12, I actually got a little bit excited about that because that just means, okay, so they've upped the ante a little bit.
We might get a lot more, like, not necessarily gore, but we might get a little bit more kind of actiony kind of dinosaurs attacking people a bit more without seeing the gore and stuff. And I suppose we did in a way with the Indominus, even like chomping down on that guy outside the paddock.
Well, yeah, think about it. If anything, I feel like the other two movies shouldn't be the same rating as this, because if you're gonna use it based on violence, this is the most violent film out of the three.
I agree, but there's one scene in Fallen Kingdom that I think takes it, and that's when Thingy gets his arm bitten off in the cage by the Indoraptor.
Oh, you're talking about Wheatley that gets his arm bitten off.
Wheatley. Like, I think that particular scene is probably gorier than anything in Jurassic World, but I think Jurassic World's got more scenes that have kind of got a bit more to them. Just that one particular scene.
I don't know whether I agree with that or not, because I could argue and counter that with, you see the Indominus pick a guy up and pull him apart.
You do
inside its paddock.
My only thing with that is it's a bit further away and it's very, very quick.
I mean, you do get to see the Indoraptor swallow his arm. So that's a good argument. Yeah, I suppose so. It's very.
I think it's based on that one scene. I don't think any other scene in Fallen Kingdom kind of matches anything else. But
yeah,
I can see why it got a 12. Yeah,
I mean, a 15. The problem is with making things a 15 is that you
lose a lot of your toy audience.
Yeah, you do lose a lot of your toy audience. And it becomes solely about what you see in the movie theater rather than what else surrounds it. Bracky death alone makes the 12A rating. My favourite movies are Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, Godzilla, King of the Monsters, Jurassic Park, and Guanji. Nice.
Guanji, that's a good one.
I'd love to do it. I'd love to do a little
Mario 93. I think that bit needs to be erased.
Mario 93 and Prehistoric Beast. Nice. So I would say that I think all three of those are 12s. I don't know how Dominion gets rated a 12, but I can see why this one is because of the volcano and there's.
No, I can kind of see why Dominion would get that 12 because there's nothing I think over the top in it.
No, I'm saying that it's probably it could be lower rated. I think Dominion's quite aimed at kids, to be honest, compared to these two.
Yeah, it's quite tame.
I think what's really strange is that you think the kids that go and see Jurassic World were, let's just say they were 10 when they saw it. By the time Dominion came out, they were 18. 18, yeah. And that crazy.
That's mental.
So in that way of growing up from a kid to an adult, you'd think that they would get more. They'd go from a PG to a PG-13 to a 15 or an R or something like that. Like it just in. If you're going to grow up with the kids, but then I suppose all three films need to meet that audience thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A Quiet Place. Now, A Quiet Place I love that film. I mean, it's great. And all of the ones that you can go and see are 15s over here in the UK, which is not an R-rated.
I've never actually seen it in full.
Have you not?
I watched about a quarter of it on a flight once, a couple of years back. And then I thought, you know what, I'll watch it on the way back. And on the way back, it wasn't there. So yeah, I never ended up watching it. I've still not got around to watching it, but I'm on Star Wars.
I really like the Quiet Place films.
My dad loves it.
Really, yeah. No, I think it's great. And Emily Blunt's acting in it is superb. She's so good.
I mean, I'll really watch anything with her apart from Into the Woods.
Yeah, no, I've not seen loads of her films, but I think she's quite a good actress anyway. I think she's great. But this movie's, I was interested to know what it was going to be, because you don't see necessarily an awful lot in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about, this is one of those typical, like the Spielberg effect of, like, what you don't see is what's scary.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that they can't make noise at all.
Yeah.
Add that the plain right silence is just so like eerie.
It's deafening. Yeah.
So whenever when you're in a movie watching it, anytime there's like real noise, it's like, oh my god, like it makes you automatically get tense because you can hear the music kicks in, something's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of I guess in Jurassic Park when you go in the first bit with when they pull up into T-Rex paddock and the goat's just there going meh.
Yeah, and there's really nothing other than the rain in the background. Yeah.
And you can just hear like the cicadas, like sort of things in the background, and the birds, and it was just like, oh, everyone's like really intense, thinking, oh my god, we're going to see a T-Rex, and then they don't. It's just like, it's cool. But I went way on a tangent there. Let's see what else have I got here. Harry Potter, Godzilla. Okay, that was all of my pictures that I was going to like sort of basically showcase, really. So what I think we should do is we will go to, because I want to talk about how like the pros and cons of Jurassic World Rebirth.
Yeah.
And what positives would it have from having an 18 or an R rating, and what negatives that would have.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can also go into the 12A and PG-13 and talk about that. And then we'll come to a consensus of like what we think the film will probably be rated and blah, blah, blah. So what we'll do is we'll be back in about 20 seconds with you guys, and sit tight. And we're back. So, Kris.
Yeah.
If I was to say to you, this new Jurassic movie was going to be R-rated, first of all, what would be your initial reaction? And secondly, would you have any concerns about it being an R-rated?
Initial reaction is it is really split in two, because I'd love to see a proper dark R-rated Jurassic movie. However, I think it would harm the franchise too much if it did go that way, because one, merchandise and toy sales would, I think, be massively hit, because after kids aren't going to see it until it gets to homes on DVD, and that's if the parents actually let them watch it. Secondly, what I won't want them to do is go for gore for the sake of it, and that then affects the story just because they're going for gore because they've got that R rating. That would be my only major concern with it. Like, for instance, if you take Jurassic World and you change that to be an R-rated movie, like, that was written as a family story, a family tale. But if you start putting all the gore in that, it's fine. But if you set out with that as being gore as the main thing because you've got that R rating and think, oh, we can push the envelope on this, I don't know whether it would affect the story and whether they get a different director into, you know what I mean? Because as good as Gareth Edwards is, I wouldn't put him down as being a proper gore. I would say he's more of a storyteller. So that's why I was surprised when this kind of R rating theory kind of or rumor pops up. But yeah, I'd be okay with it, but I would rather have an R-rated Jurassic series as opposed to a movie, I think.
Yeah. See, for me, like, I love the idea of it being an R-rated. I really, really do. Because I'm a big fan of the Alien films. I like horror to a certain element. I like it. I like some things in horror. Others I can take and leave. Like, I really like Saw. I know you're not a huge fan of Saw. Is that right?
I watched the first one and I watched the second one, and
Okay.
it was fine. It just
It's
wasn't
just
my
not
cup of
your
tea.
sort of movie. Yeah. See, for me,
Yeah,
I
like horror films. There's quite
yeah.
a few different kinds of horror films that I like, but Saw just not particular one of them.
Yeah, see, for me, I really like the Saw films. I've seen all 10 of them. I think they're great. And the reason I like them is more so because I think I like the underlining story of his condition that he's got and what he does. Although he's a bit of a psychopath, but
Yeah,
he's a psychopath in the way of, like, in his head, he's doing it for. He's like Thanos. He's doing it for the good of mankind. But obviously it doesn't, justify what he's doing. Allosaurus says, I would love to see an R-rated Jurassic movie. So for me, like, I do like R-rated movies, and Alien being an over 15, I think it is. Did I say it was 18? It was 18, wasn't it?
18, I think it is Alien, yeah.
Which is R-rated in America. I think it suits that rating because I think it's to do with, obviously, the language, the violence with guns, the violence on how the people die, obviously, and it's quite a lot of deaths in their movies. Predator is very similar.
Yeah.
I think Predator actually justifies the rating of an R rating better than Alien. I think Alien, you could drop down a rating and get away with it. Because going through all of the movies, you don't see any sexual scenes. It gets.
I don't know. She gets it on with an alien in one of them, don't you?
You don't see it. You don't see it.
No, yeah.
And obviously, it's insinuated that she gets it on with one of the
xenomorphs.
No, Ripley gets on with one of the commander people.
Oh yeah,
in Alien 3 in the prison compound, right? It's just it's not on screen. It's not it's just insinuated that happened. So obviously there's not.
It's fine.
Yeah, and you don't. More of, like, you see people getting gored with the spike and that sort of thing, but a lot of the deaths are actually off screen. Like, they are, a lot of them are off screen, especially in the new one. Like, you see, like, the new Alien movie, Romulus, is, for me, very similar to the first one in a lot of ways, of the confined, small cast. They're going room to room, dealing with different situations. Did you see Romulus?
Not yet, no. I was on holiday when it came out.
Okay. So in that respect, but it's really strange how, like, that is still classed as an R-rated 18, and whereas Predator, you literally see people you actually see them hung, skinned, blood, guts, everything, and it's that's a proper. I feel like that's proper for me. So it's a bit of a strange one, but I would love to see what an 18 Jurassic would be like, and I think it would be quite close to how the novels depiction of the violence is, because the rest of the novel is very Jurassic Park how we know it.
Yeah,
very PG. Bit, I guess, the language used in the book, I would say, is very 12 at least, because a lot of the language in the book is over most children's heads. Like, I wouldn't have read that at least until I was 12. That book. some people say, "Oh, I read Jurassic Park was," but did you really understand what was going on? Probably not.
I probably read it. I think I read it when I was about 12 or 13. I think when I read it.
See, I think I was older than that. I don't think I read it until I was a teenager, like a proper, like, you know, sort of 15, 16.
I would probably say I remember reading it because me nana got me on hardback, but I remember reading it, but I probably didn't really read it properly. I would say, and I would say probably understand the book properly until I was maybe 16 or 17 when I actually read it again and read it properly, and that's probably when I got a better understanding of everything in the book. But I do remember reading it at quite a young age. But
yeah,
do you know one thing that I think would, as much as I'd like an R rating, I think it'd be such a shame for those who've gone and watched like the last couple of films as being like younger kids and thinking, oh, there's another Jurassic coming out, and then they can't go and see it because it's R rated.
Yeah,
I think that's quite a bit of a shame.
Well, that's what we're going to get to. That's probably something where I guess the pros and cons of this are. The pros of the R rating is that we will get to see the violence that we want to see. Like, we want to see, you know, people being, I guess, jumped on by raptors and seeing.
But would you not prefer to see that in a TV show where they can go through like maybe 10 or 12 episodes of a season?
I mean,
episodes.
I mean, yeah, of course I would, but then that would mean that the rating would still need to be high.
Yeah, but then kids don't necessarily have to watch a TV show.
No, but that'll only work if it doesn't. If its marketing ploy isn't to sell toys. Now, if it's because the moment you don't make it about the dinosaurs is the moment that it becomes, I guess, a sequel filler.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like a Battle at Big Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
I'll say that Battle at Big Rock is one of my favourite parts that they've
ever
released for anything Jurassic.
Yeah, Jurassic World and Battle at Big Rock are probably my favourite. Like, out of the newer stuff that we've ever had. It's just a shame that we didn't get, I guess, more of them. I would have loved to got another one of those short films.
I thought that's the way they was going to go, especially leading up to like some of the other films and stuff, just releasing these little shorts to keep you kind of intrigued in between movies and stuff like that. And then it just never happened. But I'd look forward to seeing an R rating. Don't get me wrong. If you give me an R rated Jurassic movie, I'll lap it up all day long. But as long as it doesn't affect the story just because it's R rated.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is that when you watch it, when you're watching Alien, the whole time you're watching Alien, you're not really going, I really hope they make it to the
you're like, I hope the alien finds him and plunges its tongue into his chest.
Yeah, like you want the alien to find them.
It's like, where's the face huggers?
Especially the most annoying characters that you're just like, well, you're going to die because you're just a dick. But when it comes to the, well, I guess with Jurassic, you're not really, it's not really shown in that sort of way, is it?
No.
You know, it's more about science than it is about, you know, not liking these characters. I think story does make a big difference. Like you were saying, with if the story isn't there, then it just becomes
a gore
fest, and then you have, that's where like the more rubbish movies of these franchises sort of come in.
What I would like them to do is, because Gareth Edwards is a good storyteller, I'd like for him to, even if he's obviously not come up with the story, I'm sure he's kind of pitched in with it, but like get the story in place, get a good story, and think, right, here's where we can fit a good R rating gore bit in, and do it like that, as opposed to saying, right, let's just make a really gory movie where dinosaurs are shredding people.
Yeah, I think that it would be my other concern, is if Jurassic was an R-rated film, is it would lose it would lose the magic of a dinosaur film, and it would become more of a monster film. Now, I know it sounds really contradictory, because last week on this podcast I was saying how I want the dinosaurs to be monsters again, which does sound very contradictory, but I want the balance. And I think that's where Jurassic Park and The Lost World, they had the balance. They had the animals and the monsters.
The suspense.
And the suspense. So the original was more about, they had the magic from the herbivores and they had the monsters from the carnivores. The Lost World explored the science and the parental behavior of these animals and the territorial areas, that you don't go there, that's T-Rex territory, that's blah blah blah, and how they sort of live as animals but still act like monsters.
Yeah.
And then Jurassic Park 3 was kind of like a mashed up version of those two together and on like 1.5 speed. And I think that's why the original trilogy kind of still holds up, and it's what a lot of the stuff that everyone still wants. And the newer films, they've tried to go a different direction by exploring a different route. Obviously, they've remade the park, they made it fresh, they made it shiny. That automatically, as much as I absolutely adored the design of the park, it automatically screams safety.
Yeah,
it does.
In one of my favorite bits that still gives me kind of goosebumps whenever it does it is when Gray bursts out of the shutters and sees the park kind of for the first time and the music kicks in. I don't think you get a scene like that in an R-rated Jurassic film.
No, I think the magic of these moments you won't get.
No,
because the audience wouldn't. That's not the intention of an R-rated film, is it? Like, if they showed, let's just, for example, picture this film being an R-rated, right? And there's a scene where you've got Scarlett Johansson and the guy that's playing the paleontologist, and they're sat on a cliff edge and they're looking over. They're high up on a mountain somewhere in the jungle, and looking over, and you've got like a little Brachiosaurus head pops up here, and like you got that tranquility scene with this lovely sunset dropping in the back. Like, that's something I would expect from a PG, like, because it's on every kid's wall as a mural, on every dinosaur poster. It just signifies that perfectly. You're not going to get that in an R-rated film, because I just don't think they would bother wasting time with it. It would be more focused on what's coming next. Where's the next?
No, I know we're talking about it going R-rated, and we hope it doesn't go too kind of gore fest, so to speak. But here's a question: how gory do you think they would go? What would be a scene you would expect to see?
I don't think we'll get anything worse than what we've seen in Jurassic World.
I think we'd get something a little bit more, because then why put the R rating on it? I don't think they're going to go like slasher kind of gory, but I do think we're going to see a lot more kind of the dinosaurs kind of. I don't think we'll see him feasting on flesh, but I think like Muldoon, for instance, that scene, I think we would see that unblurred without the leaves in the way and stuff like that. I think we'd see a bit more of it.
What now?
Yeah. If Jurassic Park was R-rated, for instance.
Sorry, 100%. You'd see everything.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I just hope they don't push it too far, but I think like we'll definitely see a lot more now. If it does go R-rated.
I think it'd be, so Allosaurus said, I think it would be a little bit more brutal than The Lost World. Mike says, but then Scarlett would shout, it's going to kill us, and shoot it with a bazooka. That's another thing. I think the second you make these animals R-rated, is that it's going to be a gun fest.
Yeah.
It will be aliens. It will be aliens. Oh, I'll tell you what it'd be like. The arcade game.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've also meant the 1998 one, the Lost World one.
Yeah.
But the newer arcade game, which is like got the ice blasting and everything. It's quite fun. I love it. Wrong models though. I don't like the models, but they it's a good fun game to play in the arcades. That would be a concern of mine, and I'm trying to think of what else. Like, so I'm just trying to think of replacing Alien Romulus with, instead of xenomorphs having aliens, having like a raptor. I think that would work, and I think it'd work alone as a standalone movie. I don't think it would work being R-rated as a franchise film, because I think the second that you put this movie above a 12A or PG-13, the whole of the others as a collective will have to go up.
Yeah.
And I think as a standalone movie, it would work almost like a Rogue One, a Star Wars story, say, for example.
It doesn't detract from the main trilogy, but if you wanted to include it, it adds to it.
Yeah, like you could call it, you could call it Velociraptor. It's a Jurassic World story, so it's a single alone film, like Battle at Big Rock. A nice enclosed claustrophobic film that's about one or two animals in a confined space, and your cast members have to survive. I don't know, just using it as an example.
Yeah, the issue with doing something like that is you can do it as a one-off, but unlike something like Star Wars, where you can put that in a different part of the galaxy on a totally unrelated story, these dinosaurs are connected through every film. So it's harder to do it with Jurassic, but I get what you...
Yeah, it still wouldn't work if you was to put it in, because then it would still bring the age rating up.
Canonically, it could still technically work, but for those of a certain age, it'd only work.
Now, how would you, like you touched on it earlier about the TV series? Would you squeeze a TV series in, like how? Because obviously, I know the Star Wars timeline. They do feed these. They put the movie timeline, and they slot these TV shows inside. But you can't buy the TV shows on hard copy.
No. Well, some of them they said they were going to release, but I don't think they ever did. Apparently,
and the whole time,
Mandalorian stuff was meant to be released.
Exactly, and that's the positive of the Mandalorian is the fact that it's on. Oh, my focus gone out.
I know.
What's going on? It's gone out of Disney. It's on Disney Plus, isn't it? So you've got the streaming. Whereas Jurassic has got that. What's it called?
What?
What's that? What's it called? Not Paramount. What's the Jurassic stuff on? There's a Universal one, isn't there?
Oh, it's not.
It's a TV. It's a news show. I can't think of it. Someone in the chat help us out.
I can't think of what it's called.
What's the streaming service for Universal?
It's not Hulu.
No, someone's going to put it in the chat.
Yeah, someone put it in the chat because I can't remember.
No. Yeah, so unless it's on something like that, then I think we could probably get away with something a bit of a higher rating, because it's based on the story of Michael Crichton and Jurassic World.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily link when you buy it in a movie theater, in a movie shop where you want to get the DVDs and hard copy. It doesn't link. You can use it. It's part of the canon. It's got all the lore in it.
Yeah, like you just said, I think if it's a movie, it has to connect with the previous stories. But if it was a TV show, that could technically work. Kind of, you could go to a random place in America where dinosaurs have been running loose, and it could be your own story within that area. Because if you did a movie, Peacock, that was it. Well done, Mike.
Mickey.
But yeah, if you did like a TV show, you can do that as a little bit of a breakaway without it affecting the movies too much. But if you're doing anything that changes the story too much, it has to be in the movie. But I mean, I think what they did with Terra Nova was really good. I used to love Terra Nova. I'm so
love Terra Nova. That was
stopped.
What was Terra? Was a 12?
I think it was. Yeah,
it was 12 because probably because of the death related stuff. Yeah, so I think we're going to go to, now we've done the pros and the cons. I think I think we should head on to the PG-13 one.
Yep.
So 20 seconds, we'll be back. And after that, we'll talk about PG-13 and 12As. So, where are we? There we go. Done. Right. So, pros and cons of PG-13 stroke 12 rating Jurassic World Rebirth. Do you want to start?
I think if they keep it as a PG-13/12 rating, it will be fine. It will, because the rest of the movies, for the most part, have been fine at that rating. And they get to keep obviously all the merchandise they can sell. They get to keep all their audience without changing anything too much. But
It's safe, isn't it?
I think that's the best word for it. It's safe. And I think they've done that over the X amount of years while they've been making them, because it was safe, it's easy money, it'll always bring them in money and merchandise and everything else. I think if they went R rating, it's a bold move. And I think it's, for us of our age and stuff, it's great if they did an R rating. But I think in the wider scope of things, I think it would hurt Universal to do it in the media way that they would do it now, just because they've got so many movies behind them. If it was only 1 or 2 movies that they made and they decided to go R rating, they're not really losing too much. But after they've got 6 movies there, I think it's a lot to gamble on.
Right, Mike's just come in and said, pros for him are there's more toy sales. Cons, nobody dies. Dinosaurs are fluffy and speak perfect English. So for me, I'm going to go with you. You've gone with the cons, haven't you, first? Did you go with the cons first? Yeah. So for me, the cons of having a PG and a 12 is that the last movie and the Camp Cretaceous stuff is, I think, what it feels very detached from what everybody loved about the Jurassic movies. Because I think having a little bit of fear doesn't necessarily put you off watching things. Having that little bit of fear is like, people like playing with danger a little bit, and it keeps you on the edge of your toes. And but I think when edge of your toes, I mean edge of your seat, on your toes.
Yeah,
Edge of your toe, made a new phrase up.
Yeah, edge of your toes.
Edge of your toes. That's a new one. I might caption this podcast as edge of your toes. So I think this is where they need to be they need to be brave, I think, because the problem I didn't like about Dominion is I think every character felt too safe. At no point was I thinking that Laura Dern, Alan Grant, Dr. Malcolm, Chris Pratt, Bryce, any of them, Maisie, none of them are going to die.
No.
And the second they're all together, I was thinking, are they going to be brave enough to kill Malcolm? Maybe.
I wanted them to. I thought that's what I really wanted. Not that I wanted Malcolm to die, but I thought that was a perfect scenario for it to do it. And
when Henry Wu came into the equation, I was thinking, yes, right, at least someone. They're going to have to sacrifice one of these people here, because they can't all escape.
Yeah.
And they all escaped. With not much injuries either, to be fair to them. And it kind of just made me think it's made for the Camp Cretaceous audience.
Yeah, I mean, when you look back at Dominion, actually, you just made a good point. Like, you think back to the end of Jurassic Park, right? Alan Grant was a little bit injured, just scratches and scrapes. Timmy had been electrified. Laura Dern had been hurt a leg. You know what I mean? Everyone had the Jeff Goldblum had had, obviously, Sexy Jeff and had his leg done. All those had kind of cut scrapes and everything. If you think back to Dominion, I don't think anyone even barely had a cut on them.
No, you see a few people get like chomped and eaten. There was one in the Malta scene where the Allosaurus and he gets eaten on fire. And then there was one obviously in the Malta scene outside with a scooter.
Yeah, I was more thinking like the main cast. Like none of them.
Oh yeah, no one got a scratch on them.
I've only just right now, and I've watched it a few times.
Chris Pratt got chased through an entire city on a motorbike and didn't get a single scuff. He had a plane crash.
Yeah.
In an ice water. Didn't get any hypothermia, pneumonia, nothing. Didn't even.
Cold, not even a sniff.
I don't even think he got cut.
No.
I think the one cut he got was from Blue when she scratched him.
Yeah.
On the hand, right? Now that's what I worry about.
Unrealistic.
It's just like you can go as far as even in the last film when he had the pyroclastic flow and he survived that, but at least like people died in that movie. Do you know what I mean? Like they did. They got in there. You know, one of the main characters, Eli Mills, got killed.
Yeah.
You got loads of guards got killed by the Indoraptor, Lockwood. Lockwood. That was probably the worst murder of all of them, really, because it was quite dark, that movie. And I liked Bayona. I think he was a great director, and he really knew how to capture the tenseness from the original three.
Especially The Lost World, I would say. I was probably most linked to that one.
Yeah, and I still think it's the best visual effects of all the films as well. Even Dominion, even though I know the CGI in Dominion is just as good in certain, I'd say, but the visual effects, I like the way they use the visual effects in Fallen Kingdom. Like the practicals were good, but the CG overlay just made them even better. So it was it was great stuff. Same with Battle of Big Rock. That was really well made as well. So I guess the cons of the PG-13 is that it's not going to be violent enough, and it's and we're going to get a whole situation where the whole cast survive the whole way through the film.
Like Mike said, it's going to be really tame again, where it's just, I don't mind having a really good story, but you kind of get sick of looking at the same stories and the same people kind of surviving film after film with no repercussions. You just maybe do want something a bit new. And again, like I say, if an R rating does that and we still get the good story with a little bit more violence and a little bit more kind of, they can tell the story a little bit better because they've got that freedom to use the R rating. Great, bring it on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like you've got to bring in the theme in for it to sort of warrant at least it's. I think if they're going to make it a 12 PG-13, they've got to make it a 12 PG-13.
Yeah,
they can't do that, and then what they do is make it actually more of like a universal G, whatever you call it, like something I would see in Harry Potter 1.
Yeah, Shrek.
I want Deathly Hallows now. I don't want
Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah, I don't want Philosopher's. I want Deathly Hallows. I don't want Philosopher's Stone. Or if you want to get the perfect mixture, I want the third movie because that's the best one. Prince of Azkaban.
That's 4, isn't it?
Nah, it's 3. 4 is Goblet of Fire.
So it is, yeah.
Yeah, although I like the 4th book the best. That's my favourite book, but I didn't like how they did the film as much. I like, we're going on a tangent again, but I liked how they did the...
Is that Order of the Phoenix? What number is that then? Is that 5?
That's 5. I like that one too. That's quite good.
When
they go to the ministry and in the orbs and stuff, that was pretty cool. But yeah, we're going way off topic here. But yeah, no, what was I going to say? PG, the con, there's another con. Yeah, I don't want the kiddifiedness of it. Like we've had the magic. We have. I want a little bit. Like the magic for me will be Zora and the paleontologist dude seeing these creatures up close, having to do what they're doing to try and get this secret mission with the DNA sample, and being absolutely mesmerized about how big these are and stuff. That's the wonder. We don't need to see them being graceful anymore. We've seen that 6 times.
The wonder for us is introducing us to maybe a new cool dinosaur that can do cool things. Doesn't necessarily have to be like an amazing variant of Rex or Allosaurus or a big theropod or anything like that. But you know what I mean, just bring us some like nice, good dinosaurs that aren't gonna throw away the storyline and stuff like that just because you're putting them in. Like for instance, in Dominion, right, wasn't really touched on too much. But having Dreadnoughtus in there, just flying in as you walk, going past the helicopter, that was a nice touch. I like that because it didn't take away from the film and it was a new dinosaur.
The wonder for me in Dominion was the prologue.
Yeah.
That was the wonder, seeing these animals, you know, back in the past. And that was really well done. I loved that. And
even the Thery scene, seeing the Therizinosaurus, you know what I mean, on that one, that was a good implement. It was a good thing in the story. And they used it well, apart from the very last scene.
Yeah. So that for me is something that I worry about with the PG-13-12 rating now, is that is our expectations of the 12 now still not enough anymore? Do we need a 15 for it to get what we got with Jurassic World? Like, what's changed? Why is Jurassic World acceptable to be a 12A for PG-13 when you've got the Indominus chomping people, ripping them in half? He wipes out a whole ACU unit. You've got Pteranodons taking everyone out in Main Street. There's you obviously get the Raptors wiping out the ACU unit at night time. There's the Mosasaurus swallows Zara. So you've got all this violence in this. I think the kill count was something crazy, like 18 or something stupid.
I wonder if it's to do with how, because when you think about most of those, even the guy who gets chomped by the Indominus, he gets chomped from the head down. But when you think about it, you don't really see any blood. The only blood you see is around the teeth of the Indominus when he's next to the cow of Kris Pratt. I did just see that one.
We'll touch on that in a minute.
But yeah, I don't think you see too much blood, and that's maybe how they get away with it. And you don't see any gore. You just literally see like clump, and he's gone.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering whether it's just a gore thing.
For me, I like it's how they're killed as well, though, which is what I like. And that sounds really sick-minded, but what I mean is, like, you compare Jurassic World with how Dominion, the kills are in Dominion, right? Okay, so Jurassic World, you get a guy ripped in half, you get another one chomped, you get another one swallowed, another girl swallowed whole. You see the Raptors just taking everyone out left, right, and centre, right? Go to Fallen Kingdom, you get Wheatley get his arm bitten off. You see the T-Rex kill Mills at the end.
Yeah.
You've got Pteranodons picking people up and dropping them on cars. You see people getting rammed by the herbivores.
You see Blue savage that guy.
Absolutely. You go to Dominion, the kill scenes are like something off of Jurassic World Evolution 2.
Yeah.
And it's like comical.
Yeah.
And it cuts away. There's no...
Like Dodgson. Like, that was a prime example where that could have been shown a little bit more, I think, in that one, where he got killed.
Yeah, and I put it down to them not knowing how to film the puppetry on... That's where the stand... You know how, like, the... in the original movie, that the raptor go onto Muldoon. Well, that's a practical effect before it cuts away, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know whether they had that skill in
vision.
Vision and skill and vision in that creative team that they used for Jurassic World Dominion, and I wonder if that was to do with it. But then that's the magic of Stan Winston, I guess, isn't it? I don't know who's actually in charge of the vision. I think it's the same people.
Jack.
I don't know for a fact. I wonder if anyone can
It
actually.
makes sense for them to use the same people, to be honest, because they've used them
Yeah,
before.
yeah. I wonder if they're under contract still. If there was another movie, they would still do it. I'm not sure. I know the movie, the actual. It's not Pinewood. I know it's Sky Estuary Studios, so it's a different location. Yeah, Mike's going to check for us. I want to get onto this one. I hope lesbian couples will not be in Jurassic World Rebirth after what happens romance scenes in Camp Cretaceous Season 5 and Chaos Theory, like Yaz and Sammy, which that is a disgusting scene. That's subjective. I would say it's not. I wouldn't say it's disgusting because it's. I would say it is what it is. I wouldn't say it's disgusting. Nothing's shown. It's natural. I think it's very well done, to be honest. But is it needed? That's a completely different argument. Needed, not so much. I think it's. I
think it's done in a way where I think a lot of people sometimes think that, oh, they're throwing this in our face, they're throwing this in our face, and I think the way they did it was quite subtle and quite nice for the age rating that it's going for.
I think in Camp Cretaceous, it was an exploration. They seemed the way they filmed it was the way they did it was almost like, I'm not sure how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
This is a weird feeling. They're at like a pubescent age. This is weird. Like, is this normal for me to feel like this? Is it not? And if you know about it, that means you're mature enough to know about it, and it is what it is. If you're not mature, if you're not mature enough to know about it, if you're under 11, say, the chances are that I work at school. I see kids that are best friends and they love each other because it's just what they are like. Kids have grown up, they're taught to love each other, to have respect for each other. So they might see it in a different way. So you can't necessarily sort of say, in my opinion, you can't really say that as much. Now, if you're going to make it a more mature audience, then yeah, I would say I completely agree. It doesn't need to go through the woke culture. We don't need to have it thrown in our faces. Like,
we don't need it explained.
It doesn't progress a story in any way, shape, or form. Especially in a movie. A movie certainly doesn't need it.
Do you know what gets me with that is it's the fact where if I don't mind it, like, obviously lesbians being in Jurassic, if that's what's going to happen, so what?
It doesn't bother me at all.
It doesn't bother me. But what I mean is, like, if there's two straight people there, they're just actors and they're acting. But all of a sudden, if it's two lesbian people, I think in some movies they feel like they have to explain why they're lesbian and stuff like that. That's what I don't want, because you don't need it.
Yeah,
like you say, it doesn't add to the story.
It just needs to. Yeah, it just needs to be what it is. In there, it is what it is. If the chemistry's there, you can see it, and that's it. You know, it's not like an elephant in the room. You know it's there,
Mm-hmm.
and then as soon as they have their relationship, you think, oh, well, I knew that was going to happen eventually. But it didn't become the main focal point, which is what I liked about Camp Cretaceous. They actually did that, handled it very well.
Yeah, they did.
There's a lot of other shows where they try and force it on you, and then it becomes more about that and about
what I mean. For the demographic it's trying to aim for, like children, kids, and young adults of a certain age and stuff. You know what I mean? That might kind of relate to a lot of people who are maybe thinking, you know what, I kind of feel like that, but I didn't realize I felt like that. You know what I mean? It can help.
It normalizes it.
Yeah, that's it.
And because they subtly did it without throwing it in your face, it's almost like it brushes over without you realizing it's happened.
Yeah,
because for me, it's not a main plot of it. I have more issues with the fact that Kenji was riding the back of a saber-tooth and fist pumping a Carnotaurus than I have over that. That's for sure. That's the least of my worries. Now, do I think it should belong in the movie universe? No, absolutely not, because it doesn't carry a story forward in any way, shape, or form.
I'd like to say, if for any reason that being in it adds to the story for any reason, like say you're showing a backstory to someone and it props up in that, then fair enough, but it's just part of a backstory. But I don't think it needs to be spoken unless it adds to the story for some reason.
Yeah. Mike's come back. He said ILM are doing the digital visual effects, but no confirmation of who is making the animatronics.
Yeah.
Fair dues. I think it's the same, the company, but we'll find out probably closer down the line, won't we? So for me, we're going back on topic because we did go off there a little bit. let's go into the pros of having the PG-13-12 rating. For me, is that it follows the trend of the rest of the movie. So what you'll get is, when these movies, I'm assuming they're probably, if the numbers are good, they're going to go with a continuation of a trilogy again. I don't know how they're going to spread this out 3 times, but if they do somehow, they probably will. It can continue with the same, you know, octology, whatever you're going to call it, of an 8 movie, like the saga of Star Wars. It works. It works. So you've got that. You can still sell toys, because no matter what point in the Jurassic fandom, your kids are going to watch them. Your kids, your family are going to watch it together. People are going to go to the movies together as a family on a summer blockbuster. As soon as you make this an R-rated, you can't do that.
No. Yeah.
Absolutely. It completely cuts off. Well, think of who can see it. Anyone over 18. Yeah. So 15-year-olds, 12-year-olds, young kids can't see this film. So that's 3 generations of type of people that you can't show this to. When you
think, what's the youngest person you think parents would take a child to see a Jurassic? Would you say about 7, 6?
6, 7, I would say. And that's depending
on the child.
I think on the child as well. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, so here you go. Just a thought. Jaws is a 12. So it just shows you how, when you make a film, Mike, could you research for us, please, what Jaws was when it first came out of the cinema back in the 70s?
Now, there was a scene where the guy gets took off the boat and gets his leg severed. That was actually a bit more of a longer scene, where you saw his leg floating down in the water and stuff like that, instead of it just landing on the bottom and bouncing. It was a big one, but the actual ratings board, when they saw it, said that is too graphic. You need to tone it down for it to be a 12. So it originally did have some more parts in it.
See, for me, that Jaws is a more terrifying movie than most, because it's real. I know it's over exaggerated, and of course it didn't do very much for the great whites, the poor creatures. Like, you know, there was probably a big mass manhunt after this for these poor animals, but it just signifies that we don't belong in the water. As much as it's over exaggerated, you know, we don't belong in the water, and that's just evidence of what could happen.
Do you know what? You say that, like, as a kid, it used to terrify me, but I still loved watching it. But it just increased my fascination of sharks.
Fascination, 100%. There is nothing wrong with being scared. No. There's nothing wrong with being scared.
I go and do a lot of like snorkeling and diving and stuff, and I've dived with sharks all over the world and stuff.
Exactly. I get psychological stuff is quite terrifying. I can understand why, you know, watching Halloween is an 18, because it's a psychopath with a knife.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you don't want kids getting terrified and having nightmares. But these sort of films, like,
it's based in reality.
These are real. Like, that's just an animal being an animal, and you know, and like it or not, you sit in if you go in the ocean where there's sharks, that's going to happen.
Yep.
So it's not like unrealistic. Do you know what I mean? Jaws released something right. It was rated A. What's that equivalent of a PG? However, the B for late rated. Okay, so that might be kind of what you were talking about, Chris, in a way. So where was the lost my train of thought? Jaws was talking about and how it's kind of realistic, but I think you get going back to pros, and we went way off topic. Pros, so you get toys. They're going to stay in the shops. Jurassic World merch now has been in the shops for 10 years now.
Yeah,
which I think is incredible. Yeah. Kenner had I don't think Kenner. I do not remember Kenner toys staying in this long. No. It probably did, but I think they became more. I think I'll be interested to know how long after because you had those, what's the toy line called that had all like the fluorescent colours?
Oh yeah, I can't remember what they're
Do you know what
called.
I'm on about?
I remember them one. Yeah.
This is where I need more people in the chat. I wish we had more people in the chat talking. Yeah, Chaos Line, I think it was called.
Was it? Yeah.
Now, I don't know how long that. Obviously, kids love dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are always going to be there, right? But I don't remember when the Jurassic Park merchandise stopped going on shelves. I just don't remember that era. It might have been because of my age and I just wasn't looking. But I don't remember there being any Jurassic merchandise on Cat's Effect, well, I might, on shelves between 2003 and 2014. I just don't remember in that decade. I do not remember any Jurassic themed stuff on shelves at all.
I remember. Hold on a minute.
Because I know with Jurassic Park 3, you had the Jurassic toy line.
2000.
What's that?
It says Chaos Effect was the last Jurassic Park line in the Kenner series.
There you go. And that
Hasbro continued to make after that, but 2000 was the last Kenner one.
Yeah. So I would say Jurassic. I'd say with not Hasbro.
Kenner.
No, Mattel.
Oh,
they've been making Jurassic toys now since Fallen Kingdom, haven't they?
Yeah.
So what's that been? 6 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're still going strong with Chaos Theory coming, and you've got all the Camp Cretaceous line. They can just keep going and going. And I think with this new movie, that's a whole new ball game. We've got more. I just think the second you make this a 15,
mm-hmm.
you're losing that audience. There you go. Jurassic Park 3 stopped 95, Lost World 97. That was my toy line, this one. I got the original T-Rex, which I've got down there. And the Triceratops I've got, but I didn't. This line, the 97 toy line was
Lost World.
That was my peak time of being a fan, because I was 12, 11, 12, still young enough to want to play with stuff and be into it.
Mm-hmm.
You had all the Candy eggs.
You
had all the Tops comics. You had the cards. The cards.
The sticker book.
The sticker book. It was just such a great time to
pencil cases,
the blood dripping pencil cases. It was such a cool time to sort of take to be at school, like between the ages
PG
of 10
tips
to 12. Yeah, the team. And then obviously the Jurassic Park 3 toy line. We were teenagers and older. You know, you were probably nearly, what would you have been, 18?
2003, yeah, I would have been 18. I was already working overseas.
I was 16 then. So we were past all that then. You know, we were meeting girls and
in fact, I remember going to the cinema to watch GP3. And it was in Spain. I was living in Spain at the time, and I went in, and it was meant to be an English showing, and I went in, and it was Spanish showing.
Oh no!
Devastated.
Oh no. Yeah, so I just think like you're losing that. You're losing a whole massive area of merchandise and marketing, like a huge one. And I think when you have an R-rated film, also is the contrast from Chaos Theory and Camp Cretaceous to that being in the same universe just feels so far apart. I think you'd lose your link, because you can't imagine this animal then appearing into Chaos Theory or Camp Cretaceous. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As much as, like, credit where it's due, I think Chaos Theory handled the violence really well.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a scene where obviously we see Kenji's dad get killed by the raptors brutally, very brutally. And you see the guy at the end of the series get brutally murdered as well by the raptors. So I do think you've got to find, I guess, the PG 13 area is a good link between the two.
Yeah.
You're getting the best of both worlds. But I just think it's down. It's clearly down to how it's handled. Clearly down to how it's handled.
But do you know what, right? If I'm me, I'm wanting an R-rated Jurassic Park film, a Jurassic World film. If I'm Universal, I would think that they would want a PG-13. Just for merchandise alone and everything else, and for the box office.
I think if this was a standalone movie, and I mean that not because of the success it needs to have. I mean, if we didn't have 6 movies that have already come before it, I think it would probably be a 15 or an R-rated, because I think they wouldn't have that tie. And now
they need to be something between PG-13 and R.
Yeah, it needs to be. Yeah,
a bit more broad, but not quite a lot.
Yeah, well, 15 is that, isn't it?
Yeah,
Saving Private Ryan was a 15.
Yeah, true.
I think actually that's a good. I'm gonna have a look. I don't know whether it was Saving Private Ryan. There you go. Oh, it's right. It's rated R-rated in America.
Okay, so that'd be
but UK. Hold on, UK rating. $15 in the UK. There you go.
I will be surprised if they do go R.
Yeah,
I'd like it, but I'll be surprised.
I actually think I'd be happy with a 15, because then I do think you're still toning it back a lot, and you still. I think there's enough there. PG-13 would be right. PG-13 is the best rating, because we're going to wrap up in about 5 minutes, guys. All right, because I've got some starred comments I just want to go over before we go. So PG-13 is the perfect rating for this if the right director if Gareth Edwards films the right tone and has a bit of bravery and kills characters off. I think if we get another Dominion effect, then I think we're just going to lose a big part of the audience, because this is almost like their chance of having another go. Oh, can I please have one more chance? One more chance. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. Here's your one more chance. And then you're still doing the same mistake again. And I think if they don't utilize that chance they've been given again to sort of, right, okay, the last one was a bit tosh, let's make it better again. But I think what we'll do is we're going to go to a quick break, and then we come back. The last segment's just going to be basically a bit of a question. I've got some starred comments I want to go through, and then we'll wrap up. All right. So, final thoughts and comments. Right, my starred comment is from Jurassic Horror said he wants a PG-13 rating. Mike said the pros are kids get eaten, guts. Oh, this is the pros of an 18. Pros, kids will get eaten, guts will spit on camera, F-bombs galore when you're being chased by dinos. Yeah, that's a good one. I do agree. He said the toy audiences has changed a lot since the 80s and 90s. Can you remember Aliens and RoboCop, Terminator toys from 18 movies? Yeah. I suppose so.
I had the Terminator.
Oh, did you?
Like the one that used to talk and his glasses came off and he had his gun. Yeah. His minigun. I had the aliens, actually. I had the aliens. I had Sigourney Weaver in the... from Alien 2.
Really?
In the Walker, and I had the Queen as well. Yeah.
Jurassic World said, I will fight. Oh, excuse me. I'm fine with Jurassic World Rebirth being a PG rating instead of an R rated. And Mike says 18 because I'm tired of off-screen kills and disembowel. Okay, so that's all the comments that I did star. And why can't I find that comment now? Oh no. Where is that comment now? I'm not gonna. I've lost the starred comment. There we go. There we go. It's done. Yeah. So for me, Universal wants to be safe. It's a franchise cash cow. Fast and Furious. So they won't making it. And I agree. If Alien Romulus can make $347 million, and Jurassic Park can do it if the movie is good, is that all that made? No, it can't have made. Got to have made more than that. Go and check. That's just making. That's only 100 million over probably what the budget was. Because that's bad.
Yeah, it said the film's cumulative global haul stands at 341 million.
Oh my god! I would say that's a failure of an Alien movie.
It did 105 domestic in the US and 244 international.
Is the fan base just not there? Is the fan base? Have I underestimated the fan base size of Alien? I don't know. Because I couldn't wait to see that film.
Mm-hmm.
Like that Twisters, I was really looking forward to seeing. Like, because growing up, Alien and Twisters has been part of my culture, movie culture. You know, two classic movies that. Oh, 80 minutes. Okay, so the payoff has been good.
The budget was only 80.
80 minutes. Okay, that's not much actually, is it? I suppose if you look at it like that, what's 80 million a percentage of 250 of 340? What is that as a percentage? It's about 20%, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So Jurassic's got a budget of 250 million. They've got to make $1 billion, haven't they?
Yeah, $1 billion minimum.
So I guess in the same mathematical numbers, I guess it's done as successful as it has worked. So I take that back. In terms of mathematical numbers, it's maxed its budget 5 times. So I guess it's done well for what it was.
Mm-hmm.
I was just picturing at least 500 mil.
500, 600 million.
At least. Like when you look at the movies that have made that, that's crazy. But never mind. I liked it, so I don't care what anyone says. If it's not your film, I don't care. I think it's great. I'm looking forward to seeing that again. I'm looking forward to seeing the next Prey movie as well, because I liked the one that came out a couple of years ago. For that was excellent too. Yeah,
that was good.
But yeah, no, I think we've come to the final conclusion of PG-13, 12 is probably the best rating for this film for a number of reasons, isn't it? We just have some little hopes that they're going to be a bit braver, right?
It's good for Universal, not necessarily for an adult audience, but for an audience as a whole, I think it'd be better as a PG-13.
Yeah, I think it should be a 15. Because I think then you get in Saving Private Ryan / A Quiet Place level of gore.
Yeah.
And I think you then making these creatures feel a bit more real. And you don't get off-screen deaths as much.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I'm not going to be disappointed if it's a PG-13, providing it's done right. I think if we can get the right tone and you get the original tone and death sequences back, they're not being afraid to, the wishbone effect of Eddie Carr again. I want to see that back. That's why I think Jurassic World has got the best balance of this in the new modern era. It's definitely got the best balance of it, and they weren't afraid. So I'm hoping they're not afraid again. But yeah, anyway, guys, that is the end of the show. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're new, don't forget to like and subscribe and click the notification bell, and then you'll see all of our other videos. We normally go live on Thursdays. If you're also new and you like gaming, please check out our gaming channel, which is the Gaming Isle. I think Kris will probably put it up in the chat. He's normally, I can see his little faces on it. Click the link, and if you like Fortnite and the Isle game, the dinosaur role-playing game, then we play that quite. That's what the channel's mainly based on. We play that quite every Tuesday night. We're live, see you again soon. Only one thing left to say, Kris.
Life will find a way.
Thanks to everyone in the chat. Bye bye.